Welcome to the Rich Thinking Experience, where you can escape the 9 to 5 and live your dream life. Hear from millionaire entrepreneurs from around the world who will give you advice on how to start and grow your own internet business, as well as advice in the areas of sales and marketing, investing, and overall personal development. The Rich Thinking Experience with Rama Siva starts now.
If you want to double your income, triple your time off by creating recurring online income, stay tuned and listen to the master virtual presenter. He is known as the Warren Buffett of the internet because of his unique ability to make money for his students. Welcome, Alex Mandossian. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Rama.
So let's begin. What specific incident in your life inspired and motivated you to focus on conversion as a marketing focus?
Well, in the new science of getting rich, it's not really a new science. It's modern research in an ancient science. And it's not about doing business on a B2B basis, which is business to business, or B2C, which is business to consumer. There's even B2G, which is business to government. But modern research into the new science of getting rich is always remembering that it's always H to H, human to human. Now, one of my former clients and now my teacher, Ryan Dice, a digital marketer, reminded me of that when I was at an event with him. It's all about H to H. And so the most important thing in business is not your laptop, is not the ability to tap in no matter where you're traveling from, is not the ability to leave for a significant period and come back and the business is still flowing. It's not even a recurring income. Those are the fruits of the business. To get down to the root level, even lower, to get to the seed level, there needs to be a formula in order to get rich faster, better, and easier, because that's what people want. And so in 1989, I was dead broke. In fact, I was $242,000 in debt. That's US dollars. I'd been given money by my deceased grandparents, and all of it was gone. I'd been given money by my parents. That was gone. Whatever money I had in savings for all the Christmas presents and birthday presents in cash, that was gone too. And I found myself on a park bench in Los Angeles, California, MacArthur Park, 1989, with my Volkswagen Jetta on the curb, parked out of gas because I couldn't afford it. And I was headed home to live with my mother in Pasadena, California, which is in Southern California in the US, because I had nowhere else to go. Now, 18 months prior, I had launched a frozen yogurt and bakery, which is kind of like an ice cream store, only with frozen yogurt. And there was a bakery there. It was a franchise. I knew nothing about the business. I was all ego, and I wanted to make money and show all my friends, look, I'm unemployable and I can make money with this franchise. And 18 months later, I found an auctioneer from the Small Business Administration, the SBA. He was auctioning off all of my equipment for about 17 cents on the dollar, and it was very humiliating, and there was a lot of shame attached to it. So there I am in the park, and everything I learned about the new science of getting rich happened on that park bench within 10 minutes. Would you like to know the story?
Please carry on.
Well, it's a simple story, and yet it is the root of all the fruit that can come to you of getting rich. My good friend T. Harv Eker talks about the root is the mind and the fruit is the money that comes. So you got to get your mindset before you can get your handset of money coming in. So I was observing an elderly woman. She was a little heavy-set, American, and she wanted to feed pigeons, it looked like, you know, the birds in the park. And she went to the bird seed dispenser, and she put a nickel in, because this was 1989, so that's what it cost. Who knows what it costs now? And she turned the handle, the bird seed came into the palm of her hand, and she started to walk towards the pigeons, just like any business person would want to move towards prospects, suspects, even customers to get another enrollment or a sale. Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't thinking about that back then. I was just watching this woman feeding pigeons, but about a decade later, I thought, wow, this is a great story because everything I learned about getting rich and in the new science happened at this park. So what happened is she's walking towards the pigeons, and as she's walking towards them with the bird seed, we'll call that the lead magnet or the bait, they walked away from her. And as pigeons do, they're bobbing their heads and they're walking away, and they're on the ground. So she didn't want to startle them because if you push too hard, any prospect, any customer, any suspect who is just looking at your website or coming to your storefront in your business will get scared away. You don't have to propose on the first date. So she was patient, and she started to court the pigeons just like a man or a woman or two people would court in a relationship. And it takes time. You don't propose on the first date. Most people don't. So she turned around and she showed the bird seed to the pigeons, and something miraculous happened. They started to follow her, again, bobbing their heads back and forth. But they got a little closer this time. Then she turned around again, about face, and she showed the bird seed again. That's the bait. That's the lead magnet. They hadn't opted in yet. But as she's moving towards them, the distance between the pigeons and the woman became less and less and less. And through this dance, moving back and forth, ebb and flow, within about 5 to 7 minutes, she got on one knee, and the first pigeon came to the palm of her hand and just kind of pecked with his or her beak. I don't know if it was a female or male pigeon, but he got birdseed. And that was the opt-in. And what miraculously happened, just like at a seminar when people run to the back of the room, once there's one example, it created a little bit of an avalanche with those pigeons, and every pigeon started to feast on the birdseed. She ran out of birdseed and she had to get some more. Now, eventually, that same day, they trusted her. They landed on her shoulder. They landed on her head. Some of them even pooped on her because that's good luck in the United States. And almost within an hour, she became the pigeon lady. And this was interesting to me because as I watched it, the urgent problem that she was facing was, I want some love from these pigeons. I want to feed them. The unique promise she had was birdseed. That was her lead magnet. The unquestionable proof that she had is as soon as 1 or 2 or 3 pigeons came, the rest of them flocked to her because they knew it was safe. And then there was a user-friendly proposition, which was, okay, since you had some birdseed now, I'll give you some more, and then some more, and then some more. And then she could probably feed them anything she wanted. So this carried on for a few hours, and again, I'm on the park bench depressed because I'm dead broke, and I see this little kid. It was summertime. I wish I could say it was winter, nice and cold, like in Europe, but it wasn't. It was very comfortable. It was, Los Angeles, which is a very nice place to live at the time, except for the air quality. It's a little bit smoggy, but it was warm. And so I watched this little kid, maybe age 7 or 8. He was with his mother. It was summertime, and he saw the result that the woman had gotten. In other words, he wanted to have the same love and attention from the pigeons, in other words, the prospects and customers, as a new marketer, as the woman had. So how many times have you seen a marketer who's a multimillionaire, and you say, wow, they have the formula, but you didn't watch the evolution to the result of where they are. You only watched and observed the result they have. So you have no idea how they got there. I've made $1 million in a day. I've made $1 million in less than half an hour in 2007. I've done it once. I've had $1 million weeks, $1 million months. People look at that, they're impressed. I'm blessed to have done that. And then they think they can do it too without reverse engineering the evolution and the process that I went through from seeds to roots to trunk to branches, leaves, and fruits. So this young kid, impatient as he was, because he's young, didn't go through the dance, didn't court the pigeons, got the birdseed, ran at them, they flew away, and without anything else of thinking about, he threw the birdseed at the pigeons, and he was completely, we call it disgruntled and angry that he didn't have that same beak-to-hand relationship. They weren't feeding from the palm of his hand. In fact, he didn't even notice that when the birdseed fell, the pigeons came back to eat it, but they ate it separately. So how many times have you had an offer, it didn't work, you gave up, and then someone else has a similar offer, and other people are feasting on it, but you didn't bother to go through that dance that the woman went through. So a formula I learned from one of my mentors, his name is Gary Bensavenga, world-class copywriter, been doing it for years. he said, first you start with an urgent problem. It has to be urgent, not just any problem, but it's an urgent problem. Well, in this case, it was the woman wanting some love from the pigeons within 10 minutes of feeding them. Then the unique promise. What's your unique promise to the marketplace? Well, in this case, it was birdseed that she had gotten because the pigeons couldn't get the birdseed because they didn't have a nickel and they don't have hands to turn the birdseed handle machine, right? And then the user-friendly proposition, they're all UPs, urgent problem, unique promise. A user-friendly proposition is, it's very simple. Let me go through this dance, and after about 5 to 7 minutes, you just come and eat from the palm of my hand, right? And there's unquestionable proof there, which is the final UP. When people are, when in this case pigeons are feasting, then new pigeons come in, and other pigeons come in, and it's just an avalanche and a landslide of pigeons because that first one had a first follower. There's a YouTube video called The First Follower video. It's worth watching if you've heard of it. If you haven't, go to YouTube and just type in First Follower and you'll see what I mean. And leadership is overrated. What you want is the first, second, third, fourth follower so you can have just a landslide of customers and prospects. So urgent problem, unique promise, unquestionable proof. You got to have those first few customers and clients coming in, or students, members, patients, whatever you call them, and then continue with the user-friendly proposition for a marketing funnel to have a conversion process. Rama, the number one challenge that my target audience, which is a coach or a client, consultant, right? The number one challenge, urgent problem they have is they don't have a lead generation conversion process. They don't even have a lead generation process. They just work in the business. They're very good at it, but working on the business, they don't have a way to get out of the working for dollars for hours. So that's what I learned. That's the specific incident. And that is the modern research into the new science of getting rich. It's ancient. You can go back 3,000 years with every spiritual tradition, but you have to go through the dance, and everything big was one small. We were microscopic, we were swimmers, we came out 40 weeks later after our father released us and our mother received us, whoever that may be. Even if you don't know your father or mother, it's still there was a man and a woman, right, at this point in time. And then when you came out 40 weeks later, maybe 37 weeks, maybe 42 weeks, you won. You won the ovarian lottery. You got in and you were born a winner, and we just learned to lose over time like I did on the park bench in 1989. So that's the incident.
Wow, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing this, Alex. So what is conversion by definition?
Well, conversion means movement. Albert Einstein said nothing happens until something moves. Marketing is movement. Movement is life. If you look at childbirth, there has to be movement in order for a child to be born. When there's no movement, there's death. So when something isn't moving, it's dying. So in this case, conversion is moving a ice-cold prospect. Think of ice. It's solidified water, right? Now, in centigrade, it's below zero. In Fahrenheit, it's below 32 degrees. So I'll use centigrade because I'm familiar with it, although I live in the United States. So you first start with ice. They don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you. They are seekers. They're just seeking information. Now, the moment they're exposed to you, whether it's a Facebook ad or it's on stage or maybe it's a little postcard that you're handing them outside of your storefront, wherever it is, online, offline, then they become a suspect because they were exposed to you. And then online, they click. In the store, they walk in. Now, they haven't opted in yet, but they just went from ice cold to cold. Now, cold can be like 15 degrees centigrade. It's ice cold water. It's kind of like the Titanic flipping over and you're in that ice cold water. You'll die if you're there for a while, but it's not solid anymore. It's at least water. And your job is to warm them up to warm. And warm would be somewhere in the range of 25 degrees centigrade, right? 30 degrees centigrade. It's warm, it's comfortable, a little warmer than a pool. And that's where they've opted in. They know you, they like you. They know you, they like you. When they're cold, they kind of know you. When they're ice cold, they don't know, like, or trust you. When they're cold, they know you. Then if they know and like you, they're now a prospect, from suspect to prospect. And you see, you're converting them from seeker to suspect to prospect. That's a process. And then when they buy, that means they trust you, and that means they're hot. Now, hot to me is about 50 degrees centigrade for water. It's like a spa.
Yeah.
Now, if they keep buying, then they've gone from ice to cold to warm to hot, which is their first purchase. Boiling is they've gone from 50 to 100 degrees centigrade, which is steam. And with steam, you can drive a locomotive, and that's a repeat buyer. So there's really 5 stages of conversion, and that's where you go from multi-buyer, you go from buyer to multi-buyer, and you have them know, like, trust you, and then continue to trust you, and then you get referrals, and you get testimonials, you get endorsements.
Yes.
That is the conversion process. You can't convert someone who's ice cold the way you convert a buyer into a multi-buyer, because it's a completely different conversation. So the framework for each conversion changes, because you don't speak to a mother or father the same way you speak to a friend. You don't speak to a grandmother or grandfather the way you speak to a sister or a brother. So it's no different than other parts of life, but people seem to think marketing is different. No, marketing is H to H. Listen to Ryan Dice of Digital Marketer. I want to give credit where credit is due. I've heard it before, but it made the most sense when I heard it from him. Human to human. Forget B2C, B2B, or B2G. Just think H to H, just like with pigeons and that old woman.
Excellent, excellent. So why is it so relevant and important to our listeners?
Well, if you don't convert ice cold seekers to cold suspects to warm prospects to hot buyers to boiling point multi-buyers, then you starve. You don't eat. So without conversion, you have no business. In fact, many people look at the production part of the business, such as a chiropractor adjusting, or a dentist looking into the mouth, or maybe a seminar or event marketer producing an event or a curriculum, or a teleseminar marketer producing a teleseminar, or a webinar marketer producing a webinar, all right? Or a hangout marketer like me producing a hangout. Production is not the thing. That's the presentation. Some people look at the operational side of the business, you know, the bookkeeper and all the team, the online business manager and the personal assistant. That is an expense. Production is an expense. Businesses do 3 things. They do production, they do operations, but the third thing is the only thing that makes money of the 3, which is marketing. Many people say, I don't want to do marketing. I'm not a marketer. That's a mistake, because every business is a marketing business. You don't have to be the chief marketing officer, but you have to know enough about marketing so that someone doesn't take advantage of you, because no one cares about your product as much as you do. No one will care for it and provide value as much as you do. So you have to have at least the root knowledge of marketing, and you had to have planted the seeds yourself before you outsource it to someone else. Otherwise, you're giving a newborn baby, your business, the startup, whatever it may be, to an orphanage the moment it's born. No one would do that with a heart. So why do it with your business? People do it every single day because they give up marketing to someone else.
Indeed, indeed, very true. So how does your conversion process work step by step?
Well, conversion starts very simply through a traffic source, whether it's Facebook, whether it's through an existing list. It could be through a JV partner, through Google, through posting without paying for a Facebook ad. It could be through a webinar or a hangout or a teleseminar. It could be being a guest on someone else's podcast, Twitter, Instagram, you can name it. There's multiple channels to get the traffic, but the first point of conversion is a lead magnet, the bait, the bird seed to get them in. And the best lead magnet is something that has high value, high perceived value, is super easy to consume, like 10 minutes or less, maybe even 5 minutes or less. One page, it could be a blueprint. It can be a mind map. It could be a template, right? It could be a glossary of terms on one page. It shouldn't be a subscription to something. It shouldn't be an ebook, because those take too much time to read. But it's free, and you bring them in, and now you've built your list, right? You've started to build your list. And then what you do is you explain what you just gave them. So that would go to a page with a video, hopefully, or audio, explaining what they just got to give it more value. And then the call to action, the CTA, the next step is for them to click something, and then I would take them to what, again, Ryan Dice and Perry Belcher, they've been partners for many years, they call a tripwire, okay? Now, a tripwire is something usually under $10, $7 it can be. It could be a free book, which my good friend and student Russell Brunson has used. He has a few books where they're free, but the shipping and handling is $10 or $9. So he gets the address, right? And then that tripwire with a sequence of upsells. So there's a one-time offer, upsell. And then if they say no, there's a downsell. If they say no or yes, there's another upsell. And then it goes to the final thank you page saying congratulations. And within that process, the lead magnet that was just showing $7 can turn into a $35 revenue stream that's automated. And you take that money and you spend up to $35 a lead on Facebook, which is really the way to go. When I started, it was all about Google AdWords. Facebook is just so powerful now. And you can spend that with postcards, you can spend it with direct mail, but the goal is to get a lead magnet converting into some one-time offer upsells, and that's called a funnel. And that's called the two-step funnel with a book offer. There's many other funnels that you can engage, and it all depends on what your expertise is. An accountant can do this, a chiropractor can do this, a podiatrist can do it, a financial services person can do it, a coach, a consultant, a lawn care professional, a therapist. Anyone can do it. It just has to be relevant and it has to apply to your business.
Yes, indeed. What if listeners follow your recommendations? What would their business and personal lives look like in 30, 90 days, or even 1 year from today?
Well, the what if question is very important, because what is a conversion process? It's the movement in your business that takes you from startup to a fast-growing company. Why is it important? Because you have to take people through that marketing dance that the elderly woman did with the pigeons. How does it work step by step? Well, it starts with a lead magnet and a traffic source. It could be friends and family initially, and then builds through upsells and one-time offers that are not even yours. They can be someone else's, just affiliate offers where you make money from it. And then eventually you have a loyal group of clients, customers, students, members, whatever you call them, and you end up having lifetime value. So if you do that, within 30 days, you'll start building your list. Anywhere between 100 to 1,000 people, if you really set your mind to it and don't get don't diverge into other things. People chase bright, shiny objects. They're looking for the newest thing, and all of a sudden the science of getting rich no longer becomes possible because they're splintering their focus and energy. Big mistake. Even if they did the wrong thing enthusiastically, right, at least they learned what not to do, right? All the value I bring as a consultant with a $100,000 client or a $30,000 client is teaching them and preventing them to do the things that didn't work for me. That's the value I bring. That's why I charge so much, because it costs me millions of dollars to learn what not to do. So how they would do it is go through that process and create a funnel. And the what if question is, what if they did it in 30 days, they'd build a list. In 90 days, they probably could make some money promoting to that list, even if it was 500 people. I've made over $15,000 from a small list of 500 people if you're engaging with them, right? And they're opening your emails. I mean, I have a 70-80% open rate, which is about 4 to 5 times more than usual, with small segments of lists. And then in a year, it would not be out of proportion to say that you could make 6 figures in US dollars anyway, over $100,000 if you had some high-end offers, let's say $10,000 or $15,000. Now, I'm of the mindset of write the sales letter first, create the sales presentation first, and then create the product. So if you have an idea, do the sales message first, see if it works, and if you have no buyers, then you didn't waste any time with the product. But if you do have buyers, you are highly motivated to create that product because now they've already funded it. So sales letter first for your offer, and then create it. Most people are product-centered. They do the product first, and then they try to sell it, and it ends up not selling, and books end up in garages, how-to courses end up in fulfillment houses, services are not delivered, by a coach or a consultant because there's no customer or client. So what if in 1 year I think it's a six-figure income, and many of my students have done that, just following the pattern. What's getting in the way? What's the roadblock? Other distractions, other interruptions, other continuing education offers. I would say put blinders on, give yourself at least 2 hours a day using a countdown timer of 50 minutes, and after the 50 minutes is up, rest for 10 minutes, and some of the great ideas will flow. You can put it in a journal, which I believe in physical journals, using a pen or a pencil. If you see me on video, this is called a pencil, okay? Many people don't know what that is. Now, there's a lot of wisdom in this pencil compared to this one, and the one I'm showing has not been sharpened. This one has not only been sharpened, it's been used. So this is me, and this is the new student. The new student, okay, may have more potential, but you can't write with this instrument, which is a pencil. This one, the eraser has been worn out. It's tiny, right? And this is mastery. This is a beginner. This being the pencil that has not been sharpened yet, so it's longer. So I believe the biggest roadblock is interruption and a lack of focus, because people get excited. They see an offer that comes into their mailbox, and their inbox, and then they pounce on that when they could be building out their business, and they're just ignoring the baby. And if you ignore a baby long enough, then you're no longer being a good parent. And I'm a parent of 2 kids, can't ignore them, right? You have to hold them through infancy, and you have to potty train them, and then you have to be there when they're not, behaving. And then eventually you have to make sure that when they're driving the car, they're going to be safe. And once they leave and they go out on their own, you got to make sure that they're supporting themselves. And then hopefully, if you're a grandparent, you make sure that you spoil your grandkids. I'm not one yet, but that is the poetic justice for having children. You spoil their kids and make it their problem. And that's the evolution of what could happen if you did provide a conversion process. I have over 153,000 entrepreneurs on my list. The majority of them are women, actually. Over 60% are women. And the question I ask is, yes or no, do you have a conversion process for your business? And 5 out of 6 people say no. 83% say no. And I'm shocked. I feel like I haven't done my job, because how do you eat? How do you actually make an income without a conversion process? It's kind of like a car not having wheels. It's kind of a house not having a roof. It's kind of like a person not having any limbs, right? It's a wheelchair without wheels. It's crazy. It's like a bicycle without pedals. So no conversion process, then there's absolutely zero teeth to chew on the food that comes to you every single day, which are prospects, which turn into clients, which turn into multi-buyers and raving fans. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you for sharing that. So, what's the next logical step to take as a result of listening to this episode?
Well, the easiest step is to learn the conversation we have for conversion at the high-end level. There are 13 questions we teach our students to ask. You don't have to use all 13. Some people use 8, some people use 5. But if you use it in the sequence that we give it to you, then we have people converting absolute strangers into $25,000 clients. In my case, $100,000 clients, which I didn't even think is possible, using a very simple methodology. And if you go to accessinfluence.com, it's free. You'll get a single page template, which is a lead magnet. That's what we use, accessinfluence.com, and then study those questions. We hold nothing back. And if you require a conversation, then you can reach out to us, and we can take you through the process. And of course, if you want to become a client, then that's the next step. But it's not compulsory. It's just the next logical sequence from what that one page, the 13-question foolproof script, we call it. Because a fool learns from his or her mistakes. Someone wise learns from other people's mistakes. A fool is not stupid. A fool just does things the hard way, I believe. I've been foolish many, many times. I've only learned from my own mistakes until I started learning from other people's mistakes. So I laminate that document, and it looks like this. It's only one page, and we even put images on it, so it's fun to look at. And if you just study the questions, it works for any industry. It works for any type of business, and I hope it'll work for you if you decide to take advantage of it.
That's really great. Just another question regarding your habits and your mindset. How has that changed from when you first started out in 1989?
Well, I take my time a lot more seriously. I used to throw away my time, and I didn't feel it was valuable. I thought money was more important than time. So usually people don't take action because of time or money, right? And I would throw in a third, energy. They don't have the energy to do it. Energy to make the money to give to you, or the time to give to themselves. Now I look at 86,400 seconds a day, right? 1,440 minutes, right, in a day, 168 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. Once the time is gone, at least for this lifetime, depending on your spiritual persuasion, it's gone. It's done. So if money is gone, you can get it back. I've made and lost millions of dollars. So if you make a mistake, you can get it back. But with your time, you can't. So I'm very stingy with who I give my time to. You know this just by reserving this interview. It's not because I don't want to meet or interview. It's because I'm prioritizing, my time, and I want to be, productive for my students, for my family, and for my sphere of influence, my colleagues. So what I've learned is I was a lot less stingy with my time before, and I would just give it away, and it would prevent my success. It would create roadblocks. But now I take my agenda back, and by doing that, I become more intentional with the outcomes that I'm going after week, year after year.
Great. And if someone was looking to make their first $100 online right now without any prior experience, what could you suggest they could do?
Well, the first thing you could do is go to marketingonline.com, and there's an assessment there. And based on how you come out of the end of that assessment, it'll probably take you 5 to 10 minutes to do it. In fact, even if you don't want to follow the process, you can at least look at the questions I asked, because they're questions that are proven have made millions of dollars. You can borrow it. That's called ethical poaching. People borrow it without my permission. I'm giving you permission to do it. And that's the easiest way, is that if you have a physical business, there's a button you can push. If you have a virtual business or an online entrepreneur, there's another button to push. And there's similar assessments, but yet they're different, one online, one offline. And we handle both types of students.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us on this call. And I look forward to connecting with you very soon.
Okay, thank you.